3 weeks ago, you visited a website, a health clinic, a legal service, a financial advisor, something personal. You didn't search for it on Google. You typed the URL directly. You weren't logged into anything. You closed the tab. The next day, there was an ad. You've probably explained this to yourself as coincidence. Maybe the algorithm just knew. Here's what actually happened. That website had Google Analytics installed. 73% of websites do. And Google Analytics reports your visit, your device, your location, your time on page to Google. Every time. Automatically. Without a prompt, without a notice, and without your name attached. Until it gets cross-referenced with everything else they already have. The setting that stops this was created in 2019. You were never notified it existed. I'm going to show you exactly where it is. But first, I need to show you how deep this grid actually goes. Stay with me until the 6-minute mark, because what I found in Google's own ad settings page will change how you read every free service you use. This starts in 2005. Google had a search engine and a growing ad business, but they had a problem. They could see what people searched for, but not what people did after they left Google's own pages. The solution cost $28 million. Google acquired a web analytics company called Urchin Software and relaunched its product as Google Analytics. Free to every website owner. Completely free forever. This is not a coincidence. It is the most strategically precise business decision Google has ever made. Website owners adopted Google Analytics at scale because it was free, it was excellent, and it answered the question every publisher needed answered. How many people are reading this, and what are they doing? By 2010, Google Analytics was installed on tens of millions of websites. By 2015, it was the dominant analytics platform globally. Today, W3 Tech's data shows it installed on more than 73% of all websites with measurable traffic. That includes news sites, medical portals, legal services, financial advisors, government pages, and every e-commerce store you've ever visited. What Google received in exchange was not money. What Google received was a passive reporting pipeline into every one of those websites. Every page load. Every visit, every user who arrived, their IP address, their device type, their approximate location, their time on page, the specific URL they visited. This data feeds the advertising machine. In 2024, Alphabet reported $264.6 billion in advertising revenue. The infrastructure that makes targeted advertising accurate enough to command that revenue is not Google search. It is the 73% of the internet that silently reports to Google every time you load a page. In 2019, Google announced something called the Privacy Sandbox, framed as a privacy initiative to replace third-party tracking cookies. The framing was accurate. The omission was that Privacy Sandbox moved tracking from cookies inside your browser to your browser itself. Google got the data either way. The only thing that changed was who stored it. But that's just the pipeline. Wait until you see the profile it's been building. Here is what that data pipeline actually builds. Open a new browser tab right now and go to adsettings.google.com. You will see what Google considers you to be: your estimated age range, your income bracket, your relationship status, your parenting status, your interests, categorized into topics you have never told Google you care about. Under Health, you may find conditions you've researched. Under Finance, your investment behavior. Under Politics, a classification that was built entirely from browsing pattern inference. This profile was not assembled from your Google searches alone. It was assembled from every website you visited that had Google Analytics, including sites where you were completely anonymous, not logged in, using a private browser window that provides precisely zero protection against server-side tracking. The cross-referencing mechanism works like this. When you use Chrome while signed into any Google account, Gmail, YouTube, Google Maps, Chrome creates a persistent identifier linked to your account. Every website you visit while Chrome is running passes through a Google-owned browser with a Google-owned identifier. The analytics data collected from those sites gets correlated to that identifier. Your anonymous browsing is anonymous only to the website you visited. It is not anonymous to the browser. Google's own documentation describes this as signed-in measurement, a feature, not a privacy violation. The framing is technically accurate. The implication they omit Every tab you open in Chrome while signed into any Google service contributes to a profile that drives $264.6 billion in advertising revenue per year. None of this requires Google to read your emails. None of this requires access to your camera or microphone. It requires only that you use a browser they built on a web they instrument. Now I need to show you what that profile looks like in dollar terms, because the math explains exactly why the setting that stops this was buried 4 menus deep. Every time you load a web page with advertising on it, which is most web pages, your profile is auctioned. Not after you click anything, not after you engage. The auction happens in the milliseconds before the page fully loads, while the ads are being selected. Advertisers bid on the right to show you a specific ad based on your profile. The highest bidder wins. The entire transaction takes under 300 milliseconds. This is called real-time bidding, or RTB, and it is the mechanism through which Google converts your profile into revenue. The profile assembled from 73% of websites you visited, including that clinic, that legal inquiry, that financial page, is what sets the auction floor price. The more specific your profile, the higher the bid. Health-related profiles command a premium. Legal and financial data profiles command a premium. In-market profiles, people categorized as actively considering a purchase, command the highest premiums. Google does not publish a per-user revenue figure, but Alphabet's $264.6 billion in 2024 advertising revenue, divided across approximately 3.1 billion Google users, implies an average data value of approximately $85 per user per year to Google's ad machine. For US users, who command higher CPMs, the figure is estimated at $1,200 to $1,800 annually. You are not the customer. You are the inventory. And the setting that reduces how much inventory you supply has been available since 2019. Stop. Remember that number. $1,200 to $1,800 per year. That is what Google earns from your passive browsing data. The setting I'm about to show you was not sent to you in an email. It was not highlighted at account setup. It was not announced in a press release. It is 4 clicks deep in a menu labeled Data and Privacy. Let me show you exactly where. Here is the number I promised you. The setting is real. Here is exactly where it lives. Google account. Click your profile picture. Select Manage your Google account. Navigate to Data and Privacy. Scroll to History Settings. Click Web and App Activity. You will see a blue toggle labeled On. Click Turn Off. Select Pause. This pauses Google's logging of every website you visit, every search you run, and every YouTube video you watch across all devices signed into your account. This setting was introduced in 2019 as part of Google's auto-delete privacy controls. It received a single line in a Google blog post. No email to existing users, no pop-up at login, no prominent notification. The controls that reduce Google's data collection are significantly harder to find than the controls that expand it. The Chrome Enhanced Protection setting sends your browsing URLs to Google in real time under the framing of malware protection. It is on by default. You can switch it to standard protection at Chrome, Settings, Privacy and Security, Safe Browsing. Standard protection does not send your URL history to Google servers. I have to be straight with you. Pausing web and app activity reduces what Google logs from your signed-in sessions. It does not stop Google Analytics from receiving data from the websites you visit. That transmission happens at the website's server level, not yours. If you visit a site with Google Analytics, that site still reports your visit. What changes is whether Google can link that report to your named account with certainty. For users who are rarely signed into Google accounts, this setting matters less. For users who are signed in continuously, which is most people who use Gmail or Chrome, this is the most impactful single action you can take in under 2 minutes. 5 actions. Total time, under 10 minutes. 1. Pause web and app activity. Google account, data and privacy, web and app activity, turn off. Select Don't Include for Chrome history and activity on Google services. This is the core setting. Do it first. 2. Turn off ad personalization. Go to adsettings.google.com. Toggle ad personalization off. This tells Google's advertising systems to stop using your profile to target ads. It does not stop data collection, but it removes your profile from the auction. 3. Switch Chrome Safe Browsing to Standard. Chrome. Settings. Privacy and Security. Safe Browsing. Standard Protection. Enhanced Protection sends your browsing URLs to Google servers in real time. Standard Protection checks against a locally stored list. Same protection, no URL transmission. 4. Install uBlock Origin. Free, open source, available for Chrome and Firefox. It blocks Google Analytics loading on the websites you visit. When the analytics script doesn't load, the site cannot report your visit to Google. This is the only action that interrupts the transmission at the source. 5. Consider switching from Chrome to Firefox or Brave for regular browsing. Both block cross-site tracking by default. This is the highest impact single change, but also the one with the highest friction. The first 4 actions work inside Chrome. Start there. Remember the clinic visit? The site had Google Analytics. Your visit created a data point. It was cross-referenced with your Chrome session. It went into the profile at adsettings.google.com. That profile is still there. But in the time it took to watch this, you now know where the setting lives that pauses the next entry. Every time this information spreads, it costs Google a measurable fraction of that $264.6 billion. Not because of one user, but because the machine runs on passive compliance. That's the only thing this channel is taking apart. Go to myactivity.google.com this week. Look at what's there. Then check your comments. I want to know how many years of activity you found. That number is the inventory. Now you know what it's worth. The next video covers something that operates without your browser at all. An invisible layer of software running inside your apps, collecting data you've never consented to and selling it to companies you've never heard of. That one is coming next.